Hi, Jessica and men on our executive board. Our advisory committee directed me to give explanation to you ahead of time for our upcoming meeting next Monday night regarding these three focuses that we have culminated from our seven values that we created last fall. Those three focuses are pastoral relationships and how we can form clusters. The second is on healthy church assessments and seeing that experience and encouragement to our pastors and their leaders. And then thirdly, a farm system. They wanted me to explain my role to you, get that out as we come together to discuss these three focuses this coming Monday night, January 29th, in our executive board meeting. So I just wanted to overview briefly, and I'm sending with this a one page attachment kind of reviewing, explaining what these are for us. I've got a piece of paper. I'm going to do a cheat sheet, and it's falling down while I'm talking with you, but I'll get that corrected so we can keep looking at each other as I do this. But the fact that for our pastors and the assessments, God has allowed Dr. Agee's vision for what he's calling counting the cost to culminate with what we've been talking about. Actually, Dr. Agee and the CSBC team are coming here March 23rd, 24th to do a 10-hour training showing how this works. My role and work will be to take this and drill down with our pastors, walking alongside them and giving encouragement, whatever assistance and support to implement this in their churches. I will also, in addition to helping with the counting the cost, that the pastor and his leaders develop the plan to execute and reviewing that on a constant basis, how that's going, asking questions that will help clarify, offering suggestions or ideals when asked in that relationship with our pastors. I will work also on personhood issues that I'm defining or referring to them as. Dr. Agee has written a book that he'll pass out to everybody on the 23rd and 24th training in March. He mentions this thing called components, things like accountability, loving relationships, casting vision. Those are matters that are not developed a lot as far as how you acquire that and do that in the book. That will be my second role in the work that I will do with our pastors and churches that want to go through this counting the cost, the assessments. I will work on the things like faith, prayer, the Holy Spirit, lay gifted ministries, vision casting, relevant need meeting evangelism, small groups that multiply, working on those things alongside the work of continuously assessing, working together in implementation of the counting the cost plan itself. So that's my intent, is to do both those. Then my practice with it will be to meet twice a month with each of our pastors going through the counting the cost process. And we'll do that for 10 plus months, is longer than 10 months if they want it and if that's desired. That said, with this, I am creating a weekly measuring assessment tool that'll give us the benchmarks on how things are progressing in the church. Worship attendance, leadership training, all the areas that'll be a part of this whole process. That will give us a weekly communications tool and assessment of how things are developing and knowing better where to scratch where the itches are. Now, that said, by God's grace, my personal vision desires to see 7 to 10 of our churches go through this, and my walking alongside with them to help with this, and then to see those pastors and churches pass it on to others of our churches in the association in the future. The third thing of our three focuses is the farm system. And the farm system is, again, what we've briefly spoken about, that if there is going to be kingdom expansion in our Central Valley Baptist Associational area, it's on us. It's our responsibility to get that accomplished. Again, the statement, and I invite any kind of challenge or discussion, but I don't believe that we've actually ever planned to start a new church just ourselves. It's been the experience of either a NAM catalyst or state convention catalyst saying, here's a guy over here that wants to come plant a church in your area, we'll help with finances, or those kinds of things that have happened over the 10 years I've been here. But as far as ourselves raising up a leader and sending out 2 or 3 core families from 2 or 3 different churches to start a church, we have not done that. We have replanted one church in the last 2 years, and that's growing. Gary Graham, our church at Olympic Baptist that had closed and that's been reopened, replanted, relaunched. So there's 5 things that will be needful components for a farm system. One will be our calling out the called. Calling out the called is something we've had in Southern Baptist life for 100 years. It started in 1920 when L.R. Scarborough was doing the canvassing across all of our churches in the convention that existed at that time to cast the vision for the cooperative program. During that time of those efforts and those meetings, he would be inviting young adults to the call of God to pastor or go into missions. 5,000 young adults responded to that call. We've had different programs, emphases on this since. So calling out the call is realizing God calls, but we have to call out. So we will be working on doing that in our associational events as well in our local churches. When I grew up in church as a youngster 60 years ago and 50 years ago to say as a 15-year-old, that was something always in part of our invitations. Salvation, rededication, church membership, or call to ministry. We haven't practiced that or trumped that for the last 25 years. We need to intentionally put the call of God before our people, especially our young people. Secondly, it will call for planned internships that give these that feel a calling to ministry practical experience in doing ministry and doing leadership in our churches. There's many resources that we can draw upon to put this together, but that will be a needful practice in our association to see a viable farm system. Number 3, we'll have to have coaching and mentoring arranged, guided between our pastors and these ones in their churches feeling this calling. Not that it hasn't been going on, but we haven't had a planned, intentional system approach of doing so. But that being in place and that being coordinated between our churches as an association of churches will definitely enhance a farm system. Number 4, it will be our EBI seminary extension training. We do have the associate's degree in place of 30 classes, 2 hours of credit each, that give people feeling a call to ministry a basic, solid handle on what effective ministry involves: preaching the word, evangelism, leadership, and the ecclesiological understanding that they do it calling the people, teaching the people, involving the people as understanding they are called of God just as much as the preacher is. To start our churches with that framework of theology and outlook or perspective from the beginning can allow bivocational approaches to be sustained works that we could send out our trained, called out ones to go into situations where they have 2 or 3 or more core families joining them from our churches with this vision from the onset, from the get-go, and the work can be much more effective even as a bivocational pastor. Why do we say bivocational? We do not have the monies in our association or with our SBC partners in the state convention or from the North American Mission Board to put together enough monies to fund a person full-time to go out and start a church. It's not that God cannot do that. If someone was gifted enough and could raise enough support through ministry partners that would probably be outside our association, even outside our state, calling on Southern Baptist larger churches in the South to fund them, that could happen full time from the get-go. But more than not, it would be the plan of bivocational approaches. Fifthly and last, it would involve our supporting these planters, these core groups going out as an association through our missions team, through our executive board, and even through planned and recruited evangelism teams that do surveying work, discovering prospects, and helping in the launching events that can put that local church on the map in that community for them to run with the gospel and reaching more people. I hope this helps in kind of painting a framework of how our three focuses, at least the 2 and 3, the number 1, our pastor clusters and pastor relationships. I'm really wanting to ask the executive board's leadership involvement more in helping getting that running through our making our calls and starting to work more on a relational culture being developed and formed, giving opportunities then for more of our pastors to start connecting and forming clusters that are viable that they want to be a part of. Thanks, guys. Look forward to seeing you 1 week from today, next Monday night, 6 o'clock here at the associational office for our executive board meeting. Ken will be sending us an agenda in advance, so be praying and looking forward to the discussion on these 3 focuses. Thanks. Bye.